Step right up, folks. You're now entering It's a Circus, where parenting isn't always a show-stopping act, but it's certainly entertaining. I'm your host, Elsa, here to prove that no one really knows what they're doing, and that's perfectly fine. Let's have some real conversations, peel back the layers, and remind you that you're never alone in the madness. Let's get the show rolling. Hello, and welcome. It's just me on my podcast. And really the whole goal for me launching these solo episodes is just to give you some insight into everything that I'm learning through my podcast as well as some of my other businesses, and also just a way to share everything that's been going on and kind of come to you with where I'm at in the trenches of motherhood, entrepreneurship, every other thing that you could think of. So this is me sharing today what's kind of been on my mind as we talk through these solo episodes. In this episode, I really want to share with you my whole point for this podcast as well as my other business too. And it's around this idea of self-care. So I want to share with you a little bit about my history and then go from there. So welcome to these weekly short solo episodes that I will be having. Okay, so let's just dive right in and kind of start from the beginning. And I've shared this throughout a lot of different episodes, so I almost feel like I'm repeating myself, but I don't think I've had a designated space to be like, hey, this is exactly what happened. So essentially, I had my first kiddo at 38. And I was in the beauty industry and have been in the beauty industry for over 20 years. Basically, my entire career has been spent within the beauty industry. For my role specifically, which is leading sales teams and building out businesses for founders, I travel a lot. I have never not traveled for work, and I have traveled a lot. And at my last corporate role, where I became pregnant and then had my first child, I had to travel. But shortly after I started my mat leave, I found out I was pregnant again. So I had known for a while, and as I was traveling, being a new parent and then being pregnant and a new parent, which is one hell of a thing to go through, I made a decision that it was my go time. It was essentially my time to exit that type of role at a corporate perspective and focus on what I want to do as an entrepreneur. And it also really shed some light on just my passions, where my heart is at. Now, as you know or may not know, when you have a kiddo, things just kind of like get blown up in your face. And I am definitely someone who is a perfectionist, who is a planner, who is for sure an overachiever. And so for me, with that type of personality type, adjusting to parenthood, and then this new kind of idea of focusing on my kiddos a little bit, as well as some internal projects that I wanted to get done. That was a very difficult transition all at once. We also layered in a move cross country, and my husband made some different career choices too. So lots of change happening in our lives. And what I had come to find is I really wanted to build community, and I really wanted to not only share my story, but as I was going through some postpartum and just ideas about, who am I now outside of my career and corporate life, which as an adult has really been my identity. What does this mean now? Who am I now? What am I about now? Like, I'm still trying to figure out motherhood. We're still trying to, assimilate into a new community that we moved to. Just a lot of moving pieces. And I really wanted and have wanted to host a podcast for a long time. And I will say, it may sound a little strange, but some of the favorite aspects of my corporate career was speaking, motivating people, building, thoughts and words around certain products. And So that communication piece was important to me. And before that, growing up as a kid, I actually had my own radio show that I would record on my karaoke machine. And it was amazing and hilarious. And I'm actually looking for those tapes because I would love that. And then in high school, I had the opportunity to be a part of the radio club, which I loved. And, I don't know, some things just find you again. And I think that's really what found me again and found my voice again, and got to find a platform that really worked for me, and that was podcasting. So I had always wanted to do it. I didn't know what I would talk about though necessarily, and it just kind of basically lived inside me until it couldn't anymore, and I had to get it out, and that's where It's a Circus was born. The Turner Brothers Circus itself is a company that I envision hopefully to be much more bigger than it is now, but the Turner Brothers Circus really came from this idea. We have recently moved to Sarasota, Florida, which has a Ringling's Brother Museum and is famous for circus stuff and circus performing and all this kind of stuff. And I couldn't not think of, us being in kind of this circus town and then feeling like my life is a circus, and then having two little boys too that are brothers really made that the Turner Brothers Circus come to life. And then It's a Circus podcast born out of that, because it's about me and it really is a circus, and I want to be talking about these crazy things that new parents are going through, and now specifically kind of women are going through as they transition through their life. Not just this one small niche, but kind of all of it as a whole. And now that I am over 50 interviews in and over 32 episodes out, I continue to, with every conversation, realize how important this space is becoming, and how healing it is for people to share their stories, how healing it is to hear people share their stories. And that's exactly what the hope was. I was searching and hoping in some of those long nights and some of those phases where you think will never end, in some of those moments where you're just like, wait, is this the rest of my life? I don't remember signing up for this. I would have really benefited from just some honest conversations that are deep, that are not sugar-coated, that are complex, and not just an Instagram highlight, or not just some little sound bite, but really real people sharing their real stories of some of the struggles, but then also some of the triumphs, and that it really is a journey, and not every single day has to be the day that defines the rest of your journey as a mother or the rest of your life. So the need was really a personal one. And as I started chatting with people, it is really apparent and obvious how it's a need for a lot of people. So I'm happy that I'm here, and I'm happy that I get to be here. Part of my mission as a person, not just as an entrepreneur, not just as a leader, not just as somebody that's worked with a lot of people, but one of my missions has been this idea of making sure that we are caring for ourselves. And as I was thinking about what I wanted to share today, and why and how that became such a core pillar in my life, I can't tell you because I don't remember. I think honestly it's just been innately in me, is this idea of really helping people find their own agency around feeling good about their own self. I think a lot of it probably came from the start of my career, being a makeup artist and working with, hey, I'm barely 20 and I'm doing, makeup on people that are in their 40s, in their 50s, in their 60s, people from all different walks of life. You really realize how powerful you can be when you can show somebody what they can do to feel a little better about themselves. And, that kind of thread went through my whole career. I mean, leading, sales teams, working with founders, this idea of I hope to give you the confidence that you need to do what you need to do. Not what I think you should do, but what you know that you need to do, or that you want to do. So that part of my mission is definitely woven into the Turner Brothers Circus. It's a Circus podcast. And now my new venture, The Beauty Edit. So again, it's this idea of what is self-care? What does it mean to feel good in your own skin? What does it mean to feel good and make sure that you're taking care of yourself? And there's lots of different modalities for that. And I hope that we can explore that throughout these solo episodes as a very critical piece to not only motherhood, but also just kind of navigating this next part of life. And everyone can benefit from catering to yourself or making sure that you are being the best that you can be. One of the things that brings me to this is throughout the conversations that I have had, there is like this bridge that connects all of the stories. And a lot of that bridge is coming back to yourself, being fully understanding that the answers are within, that the yourself is really kind of what holds it all together. And it's not about your circumstance. It's not about your partner. It's not about your lack of partner. It's not about your child or what your child necessarily needs. At the end of the day, what holds it all together is you. And so really focusing and honing in on your needs is critical. And when I listen back to a lot of the conversations that I have had, that is a very defining piece within each story. And it comes up in a different way, and it looks a little different because everybody's story is a little different. But there is that element of like, oh yes, I do need to stand in my power. Oh yes, I do have the answers. Oh yes, I am going to do what is right for me and my family, because that's going to be what's right at the end of the day. That's the only one that gets to live with it. And so as I think about this self-care piece, which I've been talking about forever, and actually a past business I had was literally based on all of this idea. But since becoming a mother, I have really realized, and a lot of the stories that I share, these people have really realized that in order to take care of yourself, taking care of yourself is the most important piece to take care of your family or to take care of the ones around you. So that's what we'll be chatting about. And that's a little bit about my history with what got me to this place right now. And currently where I see that going is, talking more about it. I'd love to share with you kind of all the modalities that I have done. I'd love to pull apart some of the conversations that I've had and what they have done and how that's impacted them. So stay tuned. That's all ahead. But thank you so much for listening to this first episode of a little bit of how I got here, and there's much more to come. Thanks for listening to It's a Circus. If today's episode made you feel a little less alone, share it with a friend who might need it too. We are building something amazing at the Turner Brothers Circus, an entire space designed for parents to find connection, laughter, and support. I'd love for you to be a part of it. Remember, you're doing better than you think. Stay grounded, stay real, and embrace that beautiful mess. And as always, the show must go on. Until next time.